It was almost a surreal feeling. That's how the Dungy family is describing life without the building, which has been part of their family and the New Hampton community for generations. Through this legislation that the family of Caden Halverson, along with U.S. Representative Bruce Braley, hope to take the message of school bus safety and share that message with the country. The TV shows like these, students say they get to embrace their inner geek when it comes to careers in science, technology, engineering, and math.
KMT News' Levi Ismail has been following these cases very closely, joins us now in the studio. Levi.
Matt and Sarah, until you get a chance to hear the stories of racial profiling from people in our area, you might not think that it actually exists here in our day and age in 2014. But I got a chance to speak to a few people today and ask them whether their perceptions of law enforcement has changed following two very controversial cases. For years, the Mason City Cultural Event has helped others to hear, see, and even taste the many different cultures that represent North Iowa. Now, Sheriff Pels also reminds us that no trip is worth you getting into an accident for. So, if the road conditions continue to be as bad as they have been, then chances are your trip can wait. I'm right here on the corner of Highway 105 and Pleasant Avenue, and behind me, probably about a mile away, you can kind of vaguely see where firefighters and emergency crews are working on the fire. Thinking safe now can help set the trend for the rest of the year, and for drivers, it's a simple reminder to share the roads.
What should we listen to it for very little time? It stays working. You want to keep doing it.
It's that time of year, and if you haven't heard the rumbling of a Harley twin engine anywhere in your neighborhood yet, it's only a matter of time. Mike here is a driving instructor with Drive Pro, but as a motorcyclist, he also knows the importance of sharing the road.
The biggest thing is always share the road with motorcycles, and that's a good slogan, although I prefer share the road with each other, because sometimes it's a give or take.
Spring can be a deadly time for motorcyclists as they battle for space with aggressive drivers, but also potholes and sand turning streets into potential hazards, something Rob Dieterman of Mason City Motorsports knows all too well about.
Guys are anxious, and I don't blame them. It's been a long, cold winter, and I find myself wanting to get out there too, but it's best to wait till we get most of the snow gone and get one good rainfall to just get everything cleaned off the roads, just to prevent any accidents from happening.
It's just like anything you haven't done for a while, 6-7 months in the winter. It takes a while to get back in the rhythm. It's like shooting a basketball or whatever. It takes a while to get back in the rhythm of you're doing a lot of things. You have front wheel brakes, back wheel brakes.
In Iowa, motorcycle fatalities continue to remain low in the spring, but as motorists get reacclimated to the road, those figures are always at risk.
Be very careful of what's around you too, because a lot of the motorists now are not used to seeing motorcycles. They're not looking for them, so you need to be on your toes at all times.
Refreshing, we haven't had justice, but there's a bigger picture.
John Snyder Sr. is breaking nearly 20 years of silence, and since Monday's not guilty verdict of Michael Cisneros, Snyder says he's simply taking it all in.
I was expecting guilty, congratulations to the prosecution and to Stearns and Callaway for having the right, asking the right questions, doing the right. That's what my expectation was. You can't change the verdict, what it is, right?
Since being subpoenaed to take the stand, Snyder Sr. was not made aware of any evidence other than a DNA match. He says, with what he knows now, we're far from finding all the answers in Little John's death.
It was up to the jury, and they got fooled, obviously. In my opinion, they got fooled by smoke and mirrors, by diversion from the person who was there for a reason. Evidence.
While the main suspect has now been found not guilty in the cold case killing of John Snyder Jr., police say only one official suspect remains, John Snyder Sr., but he says what the public thinks of him is not his main concern.
I could care less what people think about me. I really do. No, this guy, he's got to look at his family every day, and they're going to look at him and say, did you? It's a lot of evidence against you. I can look at my family and know I didn't have anything to do with it.
The set is in amazing shape for being 115 years old.
For Dennis Campbell of Doherty, his fondest memories of Christmas are of this now more than century-old nativity scene taking center stage.
To walk in and see this set all like this, it's very warming in your heart.
In 1899, a local priest challenged the community to raise enough money to purchase the statues, and they did.
So all the little boys and girls went out and collected pennies and nickels, and every Sunday they would bring the money in.
It's a story of community that could headline any holiday sermon. Unfortunately, after nearly 150 years, this church is no longer in service.
We're basically closed, and it's more or less a community center, and we're trying to form it into a museum.
2 years ago, St. Patrick's Church closed their doors, but once again, with little help of the Doherty community, this tradition can continue for another century.
If we go to Mason City or other towns, we'll run into people, and they'll say, "Oh, are you putting up your nativity scene this year? We would really like to come down and see it." Their eyes get big, and they look at the little figurines. It's beautiful.
In Doherty, Levi Ismail, KIMT News 3.
All precautions to save the safety and the health of the residents of town.
Like much of North Iowa and southern Minnesota, residents of Northwood were preparing for the worst when it came to a blizzard, but chances are they did not have this in mind. Authorities responded to the scene of this chemical fire to find pesticides and other fertilizer materials in what they call the hot zone. Unfortunately, the wind did not help their fight.
When I arrived, it was going pretty much straight up. Then it went to the south, and now it's worked around so that it's going towards town.
Residents were asked to evacuate not only the immediate area, but the entire town. Folks at this assisted living facility rushed to get patients into buses so they could be transported to the nearby town of Kensick.
Taking all the medical records, we're taking food, we're taking medications, taking everything we'll need in case we have to stay a while.
Now we've kind of backed people off. We went on the defensive mode after finding out all the materials. We knew there was a lot of materials in there, but now we're using our aerial monitor off our top of our truck, throwing water on it, and we're going to try doing some other suppression methods with using snow.
After hours of battling not only the fire, smoke, and snowy conditions, firefighters were able to put out the flames and run air checks to verify the town was clean of pollutants. Residents are now making their way back into town, but officials say it's a slow process.
Izzy? My head was buried in her shoulder, and I was shaking, and I didn't see anything. And everybody was like, "Didn't you see this? Didn't you hear that?"
Surprises come in all shapes and forms, but this is a memory Nicole Weidert will keep close for a very long time.
Actually, what I saw first was her bag, her camouflage bag, and then when I recognized that and I saw her because she'd gotten her hair cut, it just startled me, and I just ran, kicked my shoes off, and I ran. That's all I remember.
Knowing her mother would never expect her home, Matreza decided to plan the ultimate surprise, one veteran to another, and the moment was all brought on hold.
I just thought it would be so neat to do that for my family, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity. And when I knew I was coming home, I just knew that, she wouldn't see it coming.
And who could blame her? Not only was this one of the first times she's seen her daughter with a new look, but also walking on her own. After enlisting in the Marines, Matreza was given her mandatory vaccines. She had a reaction to the vaccine and developed Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a disorder where your body's immune system attacks your nerves. Matreza was disabled from the chest down and had no promise of a full recovery.
I had to learn how to walk all over again. I was in a wheelchair for about 2 months, and I wasn't sure if I was ever going to walk again. She just been through a lot in the short months that she was gone, and there's nothing else she could ever do that would make me more proud of her.
After months of recovery at the Medical University of South Carolina, Matreza would receive a medical retirement and a trip home. And although she may not have reached as far as she hoped in her military service, she's already won one battle.
Yeah, I didn't get to go far in my career in the military like I wanted to, but just knowing that I tried, just like they did, I'm proud.